My name is Samuel Kwame Jr. We are group 51 and we present you on positive or alternative discipline, the importance of positive or alternative discipline strategies, and the recommended positive discipline tools by GES in Ghanaian schools. Alternative discipline or positive discipline. The GES Education Service in 2017 officially banned all forms of corporal punishment of children in schools. A letter dated January 10, 2019, and signed by Deputy Director General of GES, Mr. Anthony Boateng, state that it is directing teachers in all pre-tertiary schools, that is public and private, in Ghana with immediate effect to adopt the positive discipline toolkit together with other sanctions prescribed as measures for correcting pupils and students in schools.
Where my colleague ended, my name is Noah Maki, and then we are still talking about positive alternative discipline. These guidelines that were introduced by GES is to help create an environment where learners and both teachers have a safe environment for teaching and learning to progress. So previously, there was traditional way of disciplining students, which I refer to as abrasive, punitive, and even corporal punishment, where students are passed through harsh way to discipline or to achieve discipline measures. But these new guidelines, which is positive alternative discipline by GES, advocates for non-violent approaches that prioritize teaching and guiding students rather than simply punishing them. According to one researcher, Bertin 2010, he explains that unlike the punitive measures that were previously introduced in our school, which relies on fear and punishment, positive discipline focuses on helping students to develop self-control and be socially responsible in the society.
I'm Shalom, and I'm taking practical examples of alternative or positive discipline. So, for example, at Kwame Nkrumah Basic School, teachers and students in the primary 4 collaboratively brainstorm classroom rules at the beginning of the semester. So they agree on rules like when a question is asked and you want to speak, you would have to raise up your hand. You have to take care of the classroom. You are not supposed to talk during lesson hours, and you can report students who go contrary to the rule. So rules like this, when they are collaboratively enforced in the classroom, it doesn't force the teacher to use punitive methods while trying to reinforce proper classroom ethics.
I'm Evelyn, and I'm taking the importance of positive alternative discipline strategies. And the first point is it improves students' behavior and reduces disciplinary incidents. Alternative methods like positive reinforcement, restorative practice, and social emotional learning help improve students' behavior and reduces disciplinary incidents. Example of positive reinforcement: when a teacher identifies that most students do not come to school early, just a few that come to school early, he can decide to give marks to those who come to school early to reinforce those who do not come to school early. And then restorative practice, where 2 or more people are gathered in the classroom, there is a disagreement or disengagement. So the teacher should be able to help create amends when there is disputes between 2 or more people. And social emotional learning, teachers should be able to help students to identify their strengths and weaknesses in times of different personalities, when they engage in different personalities, because we all have our own way of behaving. So when a student is able to identify his or her weakness, he will know how to talk or interact with his colleagues. And then the second point is prevent dropout and exclusion. Harsh punitive measures such as suspension or expulsion normally send some students off when it's time for them to resume their suspension. They feel like they are left out, they are being embarrassed and wouldn't want to come to school early. But alternative measures bring students closer to them, and with the aim that they can help students by creating good measures, positive measures for them to turn away from their bad doings. And this can help enhance academic success because there is unity, there is harmony, there is harmonious environments, and it can also help foster positive climate relationship because students feel at home, they feel a sense of belonging.
Okay, so I'm Abraham Opon, and I'll be taking the recommended positive discipline, the tools that the GES has actually provided for Ghanaian schools. The first point here is proactive measures. So when we say proactive measures, what we are trying to say here is what should we put in place so that all these misbehaviors will just be kept. So the very first one we have under a school-wide rule book. So in here, we have rules being set by the school. That is, the administrative body sits down, the management sits down and gets the appropriate rules down in such a way that it is going to guide the students once they enter and upon that completion. We also have the classroom book. This one is where the teacher and the students come into agreement or become very democratic, where the students suggest the rules that should be taken in the class. In here, the teacher and the students come into agreement in such a way that nobody is being bullied. Yes. Now we have the notice board. So the school as well can post some of the rules on the notice board to just deter people from doing some actions that are not regarded as good. We also have early detection and intervention. So there's a situation where the school or the teachers get to determine a misbehavior very early. Under it, we have explanation. So here, the teacher sits with the students, explain the consequences, the good and the bad, the do's and the don'ts inside the misbehavior the students did. We also caution them. We have to tell them that what you are doing, these and these are where it's going to lead to. So in such a way that the students live a very good behavior. We also have agreement. Here is where the teacher and the students or an authority inside the school sits with the students, agree. If I do this mistake or this misbehavior again, this is what's going to happen to me. We can also call it a bond. So a situation where some students does something very bad, the students can sit with the authorities and say, if I do this again or repeat a misbehavior, this should be done to me.
So I'll be continuing with the recommended tools by GES. So the next point here is corrective measures. Under corrective measures, we have reflection period. This is where a student is being seated at a particular place to reflect on his or her actions or the behaviors or the crime he has committed, to reflect on it, whether it is good or bad, whether it is going to lead him in a good way in the future. After reflecting on this, the person is going to reflect on the issues or the actions that he is going to take that will improve his actions next time. And the next one is writing lines. Writing lines here, we have to talk about where a student or a people go contrary to the rules. He is not going to be involved in any corporal punishment, but rather giving this alternative or positive discipline, where he's going to take maybe a sheet of paper to be writing a phrase or a sentence repeatedly. Maybe something like, I will not do that again, I will not smoke again, repeatedly for a number of times. We have cleaning. Cleaning has to do with maybe picking around litters around the compound, arranging seats in class, and cleaning the classroom for maybe a period of time. We have designated sitting position. When a teacher notices that the sitting position of a student leads to misbehaving, he or she can adjust the sitting position of the student to keep an eye on him. The next point is counseling. Counseling has to do with when we refer a student to a professional counselor of the school to be talked to on his or her inactions. We have the next point is rehabilitative measures. This is where the school instigate other people into the actions of a student to talk about it, whether it is good or bad, so they will advise him or not. This is where an offense is repeatedly and it is very chronic. And under that, we have withdrawing of a responsibility. Under that, GES is recommending that instead of putting the student into a corporal punishment, rather withdraw the person from his or her position. Letter to parents. GES is also recommending that we write letters to the parents of the student who misbehave, for them to talk to the person, or for the parents of that child to notice the actions of their ward in the school.
With reference to our objectives, we first began by defining what alternative or positive discipline is, and we said we had a non-punitive approach that focuses on guiding students rather than punishing them. And then we talked about the importance of these strategies, and we said they reduce misbehavior, they improve academic performance, and also build strong teacher-student relationships. Then we explored the recommended positive discipline tools by the GES, and we said we have the corrective measures, that is guiding, counseling. We also talked about the rehabilitative measures that includes the parent-teacher meetings and then the behavior observers. And then we talk about the proactive measures that includes the school rule books and classroom rule books. So with these, we know that as student teachers, we are not just called to teach, but we are also being called to model and build empathy, to build relationship and nurture these students instead of instilling fear into them, and also guide them to be better people, because better upbringing leads to better development. Yes, my name is Mavis, and I'm handing over to my colleague.
My name is Dominic Ali. This positive discipline is not just a notion, but it's a better approach.
So this brings us to the end of the presentation. My name is Esther.